Elon Musk finally, after months and months and months, finally admitted he was incorrect. He was not telling the truth. He didn't know what he was talking about in terms of those 12 million, 20 million, 10 million, 15 million people over 120 years old, 200 years old, 300 years old receiving Social Security benefits. As soon as he said that, the commissioner of Social Security, who was a Doge guy that they put in, anyway, he immediately told him, Elon, no, you're looking at the wrong database. You're a computer guy. You should know what the different databases are. But they refused to listen to reality, and they told the president, and the president repeated it over and over and over about all these zombies receiving Social Security benefits. And then during the State of the Union, the president did the same thing, talking about all these zombies receiving Social Security benefits, and it's such a fraud, and Social Security is so incompetent. Elon Musk is finally went on the Joe Rogan show, go figure, went on the Joe Rogan show and said, okay, not so much. He admitted that, okay, yeah, all right, I'll put the link to the Joe Rogan show in the link to my YouTube description down below. But he says, okay, all right, they weren't receiving Social Security benefits. There were people receiving Social Security benefits over 100 years old, and that's a fact that there are people out there over 100 years old. Everybody in my community here is going to be receiving Social Security benefits after they're 100, 110 years old, correct? You're still going to be here with me, right? I've got another 70 years until I reach 100. Okay, my math is not great. But anyway, so yeah, we're all going to be here. So there are 100-year-olds, 105-year-olds receiving Social Security benefits. Does Social Security... So this is how the fraud... This is how these crazy allegations and the question that we're asking ourselves today is why do they continuously come out with these unfounded, ludicrous allegations about fraud, waste, and abuse and illegal immigrants? And those are the 5 key words. Those are the abracadabra, the magic words nowadays: fraud, waste, abuse, illegal aliens. If you use any one of those 5 words in any combination, then politician thinks they can do whatever they want. And that's kind of what they're doing, because they trick us into saying, oh, fraud, waste, and abuse, illegal aliens. And then we say, oh, okay, well, do whatever you want, change all the laws. But what is the ultimate goal of us? Do you see them talking about fraud, waste, and abuse, illegal aliens when it comes to like the Department of Defense or the 400 richest, people in the country having more wealth than the bottom 50%, and they don't pay their fair share in taxes? And people are going to say, yeah, they do pay more taxes. Yeah, they make all the money. One day they are going to pay 100% of the taxes, because you can't get blood out of a turnip, right? The rest of us, the 40% of people on Social Security benefits don't pay taxes on Social Security benefits because they have very, very low income. But I'll play a little clip from Fox News, and they've got around that. They figured out a way for y'all to pay taxes too. So we'll talk about that. But the ultimate goal of all of these is, we know, my community knows, is to have you hate these programs, have you hate and distrust and think Social Security is incompetent, even though, we'll talk about this, Medicaid, it's incompetent, so therefore it needs to be shut down. Medicare is incompetent, therefore it needs to be given over to private, Medicare Advantage plans, SNAP benefits. They're giving all this money to illegal aliens, all the rest of it. So they talk about this over and over and over. I've got another clip, Dr. Oz talking about Medicaid, $1 billion going to undocumented immigrants. And then he kind of plays around with language. Does federal money go to undocumented immigrants? Yes. About less than 1% people that show up to the emergency room. It's a law that was passed under Ronald Reagan that if someone goes into the emergency room, you take care of that person. You stabilize that person. Doesn't matter. You don't check their papers, their birth certificate, their passport. If someone comes in with a heart attack or a car accident, you don't sit around and wait for a SAVE verification, what Social Security does when you file for benefits to confirm you're in this country legally. You don't do that. That takes about 24 hours to get that back. And that in that time, that person would pass away. So yes, undocumented immigrants do receive emergency care, less than 1%. I think they did an analysis is about 0.4%. The other 99% of that is U.S. citizens going in there, and because they don't have health insurance, the hospitals have to pay for that. And then the federal government said, okay, hey, we'll go ahead and reimburse you for that uncompensated care. So all of this is attempts to attack those particular programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and talk about fraud, waste, and abuse. And it's not working. It's broken. We haven't done anything to fix it, but it's broken, and therefore we need to privatize it, get rid of it, because we need more money going to the top. We need trillions of dollars of tax breaks going to the top, and people are falling for it continuously. So the new one is the $1 billion going to Medicaid undocumented immigrants, but Elon Musk finally stood up. I have been kind of harassing him on this channel for a while, and I kept calling him out. I says, please come out once and for all and tell people you were wrong, that these people over 120 years old were not receiving, Social Security benefits. And he finally came out and said, yes, that is correct. They're not receiving Social Security benefits. There are, again, this is kind of the trick that they use. They'll say, there are people that are deceased that are receiving Social Security benefits. And, oh my gosh, Social Security is so incompetent. We need to shut it down. That's the intent. Yes, there are people that are deceased receiving Social Security benefits. We used to pay them out of my office all the time. Every office in the country paid people that are deceased Social Security benefits. How is that so? Well, if you passed away yesterday, day before yesterday, whatever, hey, if you need help with Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, Part D plans, make sure you reach out to my partners at Chapter of Medicare. I looked for a place that would help y'all out, and Chapter of Medicare knocked it out of the park. They've got excellent customer service. They look at every single plan in your area, and their help is always 100% free. Give them a call, and they'll see if they can help you out, and tell them Dr. Ed said hi. And your check was due that day or the day after, something like that, then you were paid. So that this is the trick that they use. So when you pass away, the coroner's office or the funeral home or whatever notifies the state notifies Social Security, Social Security notifies the Department of Treasury to stop that check. If the check was already paid, you people that have had this situation before, that experience this, you know that Department of Treasury goes in there and yanks that money out. But in the meantime, yes, a person who is deceased gets Social Security benefits. They're not supposed to get it for that month. That's why Social Security, when they start benefits, they always start it up. You always get if you start your benefits in January, you get your first check in February. And why do you always get a month late? Because eventually we will all shuffle off our mortal coil, and that's how they catch it at the end. But they don't catch it immediately sometimes. So you have to be alive the entire month in order to get benefits for that particular month. So sometimes they don't catch it in time, but the Department of Treasury goes in there and grabs it out. So are there people that are deceased receiving Social Security benefits? Yes. There are people that are living overseas, expats, people that immigrate overseas, and it takes a little bit longer. That's one of the reasons people that live overseas get this annoying letter once a year, a proof of life form that, okay, are you still out there somewhere in the world living? And so they have to fill that out. They actually changed that recently and made it a little bit more easy to get that. So all of these, again, they don't, there's billions. There's estimate about 10% of the Department of Defense budget is fraud, waste, and abuse, inaccurate payments, and all the rest of it. But you don't see a bitch of hubbub about that. It closing down the Department of Defense, closing the Marine Corps. I don't think they would want to do that, but I know a lot of Marines that maybe. Anyway, but yeah, as soon as you see $1 missing from Medicaid, oh my gosh, it's a travesty. And it's interesting, he says, oh my gosh, $1 billion is taken out of Medicaid by illegal immigrants who he doesn't prove. The proof won't be coming. I guarantee it. The proof won't be coming. It's just false allegations, just like Elon Musk did. But it's like, oh my gosh, but we need that $1 billion for people on Medicaid, because these people are, young and seniors and disabled people and children. And those people, we need to protect that $1 billion for these people. At the same time, the big, beautiful bill cuts out $100 billion out of Medicaid every single year for everybody. So it's okay. Do we need that money to support these people, or we don't need that money to support these people? We just can't keep up. So what we do in this channel for those new members, those new people that are joining us today is we help people navigate the bureaucracy, and we do a live Q&A, which we will start right now. So if you have any questions on all things Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, please ask it. And if you disagree with any of my statements, please type it into the chat or the comments later, or make a video. I've got some video questions of people having particular Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid issues, and so I'll answer those questions here at the end. All right, let's see. Art Kessler, how we doing? I think your first time here. Received a letter from Social Security stating my monthly benefit will be reduced by 37% on January 26th. My wife's will be reduced by 44%. No explanation why. Any possible reasons? No, it should. Well, one of the problems, yeah, the percentage, or were you working? If you are under your full retirement age, so you can add this to your question, and hopefully I'm able to see it. I get hundreds of questions here. But if you're under your full retirement age, then what you worked last year or your earnings, this year you're limited to $23,400. Anything over that, Social Security will hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. So I'm not sure what the 37 and 44%, why would they say something like that? Other than if you had like an overpayment, that could be it, where you paid too much and they're going to be reducing your benefits because of the overpayment. Do you have child support, alimony you have to pay? Yeah. One of the problems with the Social Security letters is when Social Security employee, because I know I've done this a million times, when they do multiple actions on a particular record, like your particular record, they do what they need to do and they push the button. And sometimes that automatically generates a letter that goes out. And it's the letter that goes out is generated on part of the action that they're trying to accomplish. So it doesn't explain it. So if you just got this letter, quite often within a few days after that, you'll receive another letter and it'll tell you a little bit more detail. So that might be the case. But if you got that 2 or 3 weeks ago, that letter 2 or 3 weeks ago, then your follow-up letter given a better explanation should have already be there. But yeah, give me a little bit more. Are you working on your full retirement age, any alimony, anything like that? Other than that, don't. Other than you're getting Medicare taken out, Medicare Part B, that could be it as well. And you're a high income wage earner and you have to pay the IRMA, income related monthly adjustment amount. That could be it. And your wife, same situation. So yeah, it could be a Part B premium as well. So a bunch of things. Dee Dee, what's up, Dee Dee? I'm 64 and a half, took my Social Security at 62, but still working. Can I suspend my Social Security until FRA or later at 70 and will my benefit increase? Absolutely, yes. So you can, you're 64 and a half, you start at 62, so you cannot withdraw your application. Your withdrawal is you have to do it within 12 months, and then you have to pay all that money back. It's like the application never happened, but you can't do that because it's after 12 months. But absolutely, you call Social Security. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can call Social Security and do a work report and tell them, hey, I know the annual earnings limit for this year is $23,400. I'm going to make over that $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and then they'll withhold $1 for every $2 you go over. Once you're approaching your full retirement age, probably 67 for you, then you can do what's called a voluntary delayed retirement credit, where you can suspend your benefits and get that extra 8% of the delayed retirement credits. Because when you delay your receiving your Social Security check after your full retirement age, your benefit increases 8% every year. So if your full benefit amount is $1,000 at 67 years old and you wait till 70, your benefit will be $1,240, so 24%. So, but if a lot of people don't know about the voluntary delayed retirement credits, not many people use it because they don't know about it, and most people can't use that thing. They need that money. So when you go to Social Security and asking for that, it's a little bit of a battle. That's why I put in my YouTube description, it has in there the actual PALMS reference, the policy reference to voluntary delayed retirement credits. So you can go in there. Hello, fellow Weirians of the chat. I certainly hope that that title doesn't stick. All right, Dr. Weir, we hear people say that illegals cannot gain access to Social Security benefit. Is this statement entirely true? Yep, 100%. Yep, I've done millions of claims, and for you to receive retirement benefits and disability benefits and spouse benefits, you have to prove your legal status in the United States. Absolutely. And we go through a whole process. And as I mentioned, kind of the SAVE verification, where if you have a green card, Then they put it into the SAY verification, which contacts the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration Service to confirm that is still an active green card and, well, it's legit and all that kind of different stuff. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of ways that Social Security gets to prevent people from collecting benefits. And what the irony is, Dr. Oz is all up in arms about $1 billion supposedly going to illegal immigrants, which he hasn't proven. He just made the allegation, just like Elon Musk made the allegation of zombies. But he didn't also say, okay, yeah, oh my gosh, these people are getting $1 billion of Medicaid benefits. But people in this country undocumented are also paying into Social Security and taxes, well, into Social Security alone, about $35 billion a year. And you're saying, Ed, you just said they can't get Social Security. That's right. They pay into Social Security, but they can't get it. How do they pay into Social Security? They get temporary numbers, IRS numbers, that allows them to pay into the system. So not a Social Security number. They get, they go to some, like in the Midwest, like a chicken processing plant or a or let's say Mar-a-Lago or something, and they get a temporary ID number from the IRS. So it allows them, because the IRS doesn't care that you're in this country illegally. They just want taxes. They want you to pay money. So you pay the money, and which includes FICA tax, Social Security, Medicare, and 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, when they go say, hey, I paid Social Security for 30 years. I want my Social Security. We at Social Security, well, I'm no longer with there, but at Social Security, they say, thank you very much for the donation of the, $1 million you paid over the 30, 40 years or whatever the case may be. But sorry, you can't get it because you're not in the country legally. So even if this allegation of $1 billion going to illegal immigrants they prove it, which they're not, they still pay $35 billion into, yeah. So it's crazy. Just went to vote. Why? Because our democracy is on the line. Our health care is skyrocketing. Our Medicare is going to suffer, and the guy in the White House does not care. So please vote yes.